Ancient royal drama pales in comparison to modern politics, Ian. When you look at the book of First Kings, we're talking about a story that has everything from a thousand wife harem to prophets calling down fire from heaven.
That's such a fascinating way to frame it, Pappy. These stories really do read like the original Game of Thrones, don't they? The political intrigue begins from the very start with Solomon's rise to power.
Let me paint this picture. King David is dying, and suddenly there's an intense succession crisis. Solomon wasn't even the apparent heir, but through some clever political maneuvering by his mother Bathsheba and the prophet Nathan, he ended up on the throne.
The way Solomon begins his reign is particularly interesting. When God offers him anything he wants, he chooses wisdom over wealth or power. Talk about a savvy PR move.
And that wisdom becomes legendary. I mean, the story of him resolving the dispute between two mothers claiming the same baby by suggesting cutting it in half, that's some next level psychological insight. But here's where it gets fascinating. All this wisdom doesn't prevent his eventual downfall.
You're talking about his massive harem, 700 wives and 300 concubines. That's not just excessive, it's politically dangerous.
Exactly. Each marriage was essentially a political alliance, but these foreign wives brought their religious practices with them. Soon, Solomon's building temples to foreign gods right alongside the magnificent temple he constructed for the God of Israel. Talk about mission drift.
The construction of that temple must have been incredible, though. 7 years of work importing cedar from Lebanon, using the finest materials available. It was basically the ancient world's most outstanding architectural achievement.
But all this grandeur came at a price, literally. The taxes and forced labor required to build these massive projects created serious social tension. When Solomon's son Rehoboam takes over, that's when everything really falls apart.
The way Rehoboam handles that situation is almost comically bad. The people ask for tax relief, and instead of listening to his experienced advisors, he basically threatens to make things worse.
Right. He actually says, "My father scourged you with whips, but I will scourge you with scorpions," not exactly how to win friends and influence people material. And boom, just like that, 10 of the 12 tribes break away to form their own kingdom.
Now we have two kingdoms, Israel in the north with 10 tribes and Judah in the south with two. But what happens next with Jeroboam in the north is fascinating.
Oh man, Jeroboam makes this incredibly consequential decision. Worried that people will remain loyal to Jerusalem's temple, he sets up alternative worship sites with golden calves. It's like he took the worst lesson possible from Israel's history and said, let's do that again.
That decision really sets the stage for everything that follows, doesn't it? The northern kingdom never really recovers from that spiritual compromise.
Then enters one of the most dramatic characters in the entire narrative, Elijah. This prophet appears out of nowhere, wearing animal skins, and begins challenging King Ahab and his notorious wife, Jezebel. The showdown on Mount Carmel is absolutely epic.
Tell me more about that showdown. What exactly happened there?
Picture this: Elijah challenges 450 prophets of Baal to a supernatural contest. Both sides will prepare sacrifices, but neither can light the fire. They must call on their respective gods to send fire from heaven. The prophets of Baal go first, dancing, shouting, even cutting themselves, but nothing happens.
And then Elijah just has to show them up, doesn't he?
He doesn't just show them up, he has his altar soaked with water 3 times, then calls down fire that's so hot it burns up everything, including the stones. But what happens next is equally fascinating. Jezebel threatens him, and this mighty prophet who just called down fire from heaven runs away in fear.
That human element really makes these stories resonate, doesn't it? These aren't just legendary figures, they're people with real struggles and fears.
Absolutely. And nowhere is that more evident than in the story of Naboth's vineyard. King Ahab wants this vineyard, but Naboth refuses to sell his ancestral land. So Jezebel orchestrates this elaborate plot to have him falsely accused and executed. It's like watching a perfectly crafted crime drama.
The consequences of that action are pretty severe, though. Both Ahab and Jezebel meet violent ends, just as Elijah predicted.
And that's really the central message of First Kings, EAN. Actions have consequences, especially for leaders. The choices they make affect not just themselves, but entire nations. Whether it's Solomon's compromise, Rehoboam's arrogance, or Ahab's corruption, we see how leadership shapes the destiny of nations.
Examining it from this perspective, Pappy, these ancient stories continue to offer valuable lessons about power, leadership, and human nature.
They really do, Ian. The names and places might change, but the fundamental dynamics of power, faith, and human nature remain surprisingly consistent. It's like holding up a mirror to our own time.